Roger, go for deploy.
Hey, listeners, here we are. We're back again. So, hope you liked part one. It was a really fascinating insight into the climb of Mount Everest with the man, Gerardo, stuffed my Spanish up there. Gerardo Lopez. And today we've got part two. So, part two, just like part one, is more of a sit down with Gilo. This time we're going to talk about the diet and the training in preparation for a climb like Mount Everest. We're also going to go into his preparations for what he's up to at the moment, which is climbing the most dangerous peak in the world and the pinnacle of mountaineering, which is K2 in Pakistan. Gilo in this podcast mentioned to us that 1 in 2 people that make it to the summit of K2 don't come back. They die, basically. I read some different stats. I think it was 1 in 4 I read now. I don't know who's right. I'm going to probably go with Gerardo. Anyway, the moral of the story is this is a mental climb that he's going to be going through, and it's really good to delve into the mind of somebody who loves mountaineering and loves the feeling of being atop the mountain so much that he's willing to really risk his life and put everything on the line for it. So it's another great show. Before we get into the show, I'm going to go through our sponsors. So we got a new sponsor today. Audible is now a sponsor of the podcast. Audible is the home to the widest selection of digital audiobooks, including bestsellers, new releases, exclusives, and more. Listen anytime, anywhere on your tablet, mobile, or desktop with their free app. Audible is offering AdventureFit Radio listeners a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out audible.com. To download your free audiobook, go to www.audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. Again, that is audibletrial.com/ADVF radio for your free audiobook. I recommend getting the audiobook The Martian. I listened to it last year, and it was like watching a fucking awesome movie in my head for about 10 hours. It was insane. If you haven't seen the movie, don't see the movie, get the audiobook. You can get it for free. www.audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. This podcast is also brought to you by Loxam Solutions. Loxam Solutions is a boutique consulting and business support company focused on business consulting and commercial services. The key to their success has been through the application of a pragmatic approach combined with entrepreneurial spirit to achieve their clients' outcomes. Their philosophy is simple: deliver well-defined, measurable business outcomes to their clients through the engagement of subject matter experts with real-world experience. You've heard me say it before, but they can be found at www.loxamsolutions.com.au. Also, we're sponsored by NDO Sups. NDO Sups, guys, get behind these guys. Max swears by them. You want to treat your recovery properly, then treat it with NDO Sups. Head to www.ndosups.com and use ADVF radio when purchasing to get your 10% off. And lastly, let's see if I can get this one without stuffing it up. This podcast is brought to you by AdventureFit Travel. AdventureFit Travel is an adventure travel company for the fitness community. It's my company. It's our company. It's the company and the parent company of this lovely podcast. And it's just really great fun, guys. We got some cool stuff coming up. We've got a couple of tickets left on our CrossFit Games trip for all you CrossFitters out there. Get in quick there. We've also got a stack of tickets left, on Everest Base Camp for this September. I went twice last year to Everest Base Camp. Mac, my co-host of this podcast, came with me on one of the trips. That's how we became such bros. That's why we're on this podcast together now. You'll make friends for life. You'll see the Khumbu region. You'll see Mount Everest. You'll have a ball. So get on www.adventurefittravel.com to check us out. Well, that's it from me. Now it's time for part 2 with Gerardo Lopez.
So, Gerardo.
Very nice. Now I'm Italian, but that's okay.
Let's get back to Everest. It's been an amazing story so far. We want to learn some more. I want to dig deeper into your training. What type of training? What mountains did you climb? I know you briefly mentioned on it earlier, but we want to know the mental side and the physical side and how many months it took to prepare, just so we can provide any information to any listeners out there that are thinking about taking the climb.
I think from the time I decided I was going to make it, or I was going to go climb Everest to the time I climbed it, was about 18 months of preparation. The first thing is obviously get your mind in the zone. You're going to do it. That's all you're going to do, because all your training, it has to be sort of really looking forward to that time. At that time, I was living in Los Angeles, so it was very flat. So what I managed to do there is I live about maybe 10 km from a sand dune that it was about 300 meters tall. So that was awesome. Going for a run on a sand dune is just pretty powerful, but at the same time, it's a lot of endurance. It's very hard, and getting on a sand dune 300 meters tall, running is hard. And that was my training. Just going there every day, making sure that I was at least doing 2 meters more, 3 meters more until I actually got to the top. And then once I got to the top, now do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times.
Right.
It's all about to me. It was all about heart endurance. So making sure that the heart was very, very strong. The lungs had that capacity to carry all that oxygen.
But also the mental push to face that hill every time.
Correct.
Running on sand's tough as it is to go uphill 300 meters.
And you said it. I think the fact that you were there every day and it was hard, because every day for at least 200 or 300 times you there doing it. And you're like, again. And again, it's mentally challenging.
And then when you have to go to, say, Camp 3, then back down to Camp 2, you're like, oh, I've got to climb this same route again.
Exactly. So that mental part is very, very important. The technical side of climbing and the altitude, I already had it. I've been climbing for such a long time that I already had all of that. So I wasn't worried about that. I was more worried about, I need to be in the best shape of my life, which is I need endurance. I need to be able to move quickly. Because when you're going in a Kumbu asphalt, you need to move quickly. So you need to have that rhythm in your heart that is like your heart is pounding and you keep going. Don't stop. Keep going. It's all that, that kind of training. Circuits, a lot of running, but running full speed as far as you can, and then just relax for a little bit and then do it again. Feel like your heart is just coming out and then do it again and then do it again.
And would you say this is for an hour each? So you just get up first thing you do and then you go to work, or this is morning, lunchtime, evening?
I was working out twice a day, so I will wake up at 5, do my 5 to 7, then go to work, and then after work I will go to the gym and do different things, different circuits. So
you run in the morning, maybe, for example, and then do a workout in the afternoon to mix it up.
But workout is not. It wasn't too much about lifting weights and putting a lot of muscle.
Yeah, the circuit, like you were saying.
Exactly.
Just lots of reps and just
pushing
moving the body through all the motions. Yeah,
pushing. Swimming, very good for that. Breathing, controlling your breathing. It's very good. The swimming for all of this. But that was basically it. It was the more. I think 80% of what it takes to climb Everest is in your head. The other 20% is physical.
Definitely. And what about mental training? Do you have any mental practices you put into place? One of our questions in our 9 from 9 final segment is about meditation, but we can talk about it now. Do you have any mental game that you or any tactics and tricks that you use?
See, I think one of the most important things about climbing Everest is getting to know yourself and being your best friend, because you're going to spend a lot of time with you. Yes, when you're climbing, there's tons of people around you, and you guys experience that.
Not much conversation, even on Everest Base Camp.
Do you know, that was my most enjoyable part, was the 4 hours of being in your own headspace.
Yeah.
And you might talk to, like, for instance, Bill and I shared some really funny and elaborate stories, and then for another few hours you'd just be by yourself, and you can choose to talk to someone if you want to. You can walk at the front of the pack, the back of the pack, and you can just be in your own headspace, and that is what I enjoyed the most, and that's what changed me as a person.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what, at the level that you need to be. You need to be happy to be spending 1, 2, 3 days on your own. And that part of the training, as you're talking about, is, you go for 3 days of a hike on your own.
But it's not boring, is it?
No.
I don't want listeners thinking, oh, that's boring, you're just by yourself. You discover yourself, and you learn, and you have breakthroughs, and you solve the world's problems, and you just grow as an individual.
I'd like to know where your revelations and stuff, like what do you mean by that yourself, Mac? I mean, I had some great times where I was walking by myself where I'd think about some stuff with Adventure Fit, some paths I want to go down with my life, I suppose. And I'd really... I remember just specifically having one day where I solidified this plan and I was really excited. I didn't speak to anyone for a few hours and I just trekking along and I had this, I can't remember exactly what it was, something that I wanted to implement, and I decided upon it on my head. But I really enjoyed it. I probably didn't get as deep into it as what you did. Can you elaborate more on what you mean?
The stories are irrelevant now. There was some certain people in my life that I needed to connect to. I just had a lot of personal breakthroughs where I wanted to go in life, what sort of life meant.
Just a real good deep think.
Oh yeah, and just that was sort of that opened paths to meditation, and it opened paths to career and money and just personal development. And
you probably don't get that chance with your iPhone in your pocket as well.
Well, I was just going to say,
because you don't have that. You finally got a chance to just clear your mind and just be in your own head, I suppose.
Yeah, and you just, not that I had any demons, but you just solve all the problems. I came back so motivated. I just knew where I was going. I knew what I needed to do. And I woke up looking forward just to continuing on the thought from yesterday and just living the simple life, It was extremely enjoyable period, and it definitely wasn't boring at all being by yourself.
And that's the most important thing, If you're not afraid of being lonely, and you can pass that level, then you're there. You have 50% there. The other 50% is pushing. Hurts, yes, it hurts, but you can do more than this. You can do more than this. But that 50% of being on your own and talking to you, because you're going to be talking to you a lot.
You're not searching for approval. When you come back to, we're in Melbourne now, you come back and you've got your friends and family and social media, and you post up this and you send I don't know what people do, Snapchat, and you're always trying to search for people's approval. You have nothing to prove out there. You're by yourself. You just do what you want to do, and you do it with the people that you're surrounded with, and life is simple and it's fantastic.
And you discover new things about yourself. For example, I didn't know that I was good at cooking until I actually spent time on my own, and I was cooking, and as you said, you're not looking for approval from anybody, but you still want to do something good, and then you keep trying new things, and you just mix this with the other. Why not? Nobody else is going to try it. It's just going to be me. And that's how I discovered that.
And you're not in a rush?
Yeah, you're not in a rush.
What are you rushing for?
Exactly. And then that's how I discovered I was good at food. It was in my career, and now I made it my career. I moved from being a consultant, an IT consultant, to being a food person by spending a lot of time cooking and experimenting. No rush, you said. Yeah, that's correct.
That's cool. So that's kind of the physical training. I want to know exactly... which mountains or what's kind of a prerequisite for a climber? What's the minimum amount of 7,000 meter peaks, or what do you have to go through? What do you have to tick off to actually try and summit Everest, in your opinion?
I don't think this such a requirement per se, because I've seen people that have never done any mountains and have gone and climbed Everest without anything else before in their lives. But also I've seen athletes, ultra marathoners, ultramans, going and trying Everest and failing.
What would you recommend? What did you do? Or what's like a basic plan that you think someone should apply? Because there's a lot of people, myself included, when I did base camp with Mac and Adventure Fit ran 2 last year, I was over in the Khumbu region twice, and I was beginning to do the research myself. I wonder what it actually takes. I've climbed a 5,500 meter mountain in Bolivia, very non-technical, but I started to do the research myself. And just for people out there, like, what do you think? What if you were to put a...
No, I definitely think that you definitely need to go first to the 5,000, sort of 6,000, because that's sort of the first boundary. Even 4,000 is your first boundary. People feel it. When people go to Machu Picchu and all these places, they feel it.
I had a friend who couldn't handle La Paz.
Exactly,
and walk around the streets.
And really,
and he was falling apart.
The way that I look at it, and there's no medicine is so fascinated with all this about high altitude, because they still haven't figured out what makes a person different to another in tolerating the altitude. Yes, you carry more blood cells and stuff like that, but still there is something where some people are better equipped and prepared to climb high altitudes than others, and there's no connection other than maybe this person lived in a high altitude before, but other than that there's not a lot. So the answer to that is you need to start getting knowing your body. So if you already made it to 4,000 and you struggle, most likely it's going to be very hard to think about 8,000. So you need to progress. You need to go from the 4 to the 5 to the 6, then to the 7. When you get to the 7, you can decide to think, either I'm going to give it a shot, or I may attempt another 8,000 like I did the Choyu, which is the 6th highest mountain, but it's an easy 8,000 meters. And that sort of gets you into that space, and now you know that you're capable of doing it. But again, nobody knows themselves better but by yourself. You know who you are, you know where your limits are, and it's just testing those limits one at a time, and then it will tell you, your body will tell you how much you can go.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
What's the part you think that goes first for most people that really sort of struggle with that sort of stuff? You think it's mental or physical, where they just really die?
I think it's mental.
Yeah.
I think it's mental.
Yeah. I'm assuming as well, yeah.
A lot of people in mountains like Everest, anytime somebody dies, every time something happens, you see a lot of people just packing up and leaving. Because it wasn't the physical part. It was that anemic part of him saying, if that person dies, that person, actually, shit, it happened. That person died. I could die here. He gets that, oh, wow moment, and then everybody goes down.
Yep.
They already know the risks going in. The chances that
but they never seen
it. It becomes real when they're up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that reality? Right. Is that reality? A lot of people, when they face the Khumbu icefall, they just turn back.
Really?
Yeah.
They just look at it and like, I can't do this.
So people go to how high up is that?
It's the first as you leave base camp into Camp 1.
Yep.
It's maybe 45 minutes from base camp. You facing
and they're all returning back from that place there. They
Yeah.
just know that there's no way they can do it. God, it's amazing.
Imagine spending all the time, money, effort, training, and then just getting there and saying, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Without even giving it a go, though. That's what I find interesting. Yeah.
But I can attest to that. The mountain I climbed in Bolivia, it got to a point where there was no ice climbing, so no ice picks and so forth. But we got to a point where, and it was Huayna Potosi's sister mountain, and I've tried my hardest to research back. This is about 6 years ago. I can't find what the name of the mountain was. But we got towards the summit, and we were walking along the snowy ridge, and it was 1 foot after the other. It was stomp, 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 stomp. So it was probably take 10 seconds per step, because each side you have hundreds of meters of just sheer. You're just going to fall. There's rocks strewn all through the mountain. So we walked for felt like an hour along this snowy ridge, and then it got to like a rocky outcrop where we had a guy, Don Pablo, I think his name was.
Bradman.
And anyway, he was our leader. We were all we were was tied together. We were tied. There was 5 of us tied, and we had about 2 meters of rope in between. And he got to this rocky outcrop. He jumped up, and then he said, "Right, okay, you guys got to get up here. What you got to do is you got to put your hand here. You got to put your foot here, and you've got to pull yourself and grab this rock here." And throughout the whole trip, there was 2 experienced mountaineers, the guide, myself, and a German guy. The American, the mountaineers were American. They were very well versed. They were very competent, very confident. And then there was me, who was confident enough, not that well versed, but getting through it well. And there was the German guy who was like, "Oh my God, I can't do this. And he was kind of stressing me out because he was his mental game was off. But we couldn't leave him. He was coming the whole way. Or we were all turned around. So he was kind of coming along for the ride. And I was fine. I was nervous inside, but I didn't show it externally. But I got to this rocky outcrop, and what had happened was the German guy had gone second, so our guide had helped him up. And I got to the rocky outcrop, and I stood there, hands on the right rock, left foot's on the left rock, and then I've got to push off and grab this third rock. And I stood there, and I went, 1, 2, 3, and I got to the point. I don't think anyone would have been able to tell, but I was fucking shitting myself.
You've got to take that leap, don't you?
Yeah, and I had my hands on the rock, and I turned around to the 2 American guys. I said, "Can't do it. I can't do it, boys."
Really?
Yeah. And there was nothing. All I had to do was it's probably about 1.5 feet, like a push off, and I'm tied to the guys. Like, I'm not going anywhere.
No.
But it was like 1.5 foot, push and a half, and grab this rock, and I was fine. But I was legitimately shell shocked.
So could you see just to put it into perspective for the listeners, you could see a big drop under you, or just
so
paint
right
the
hand
picture.
and left hand side was like, I can't really. It was a total whiteout.
Yep.
But you could see probably 50 to 100 meters of like gradual descent, and there was just rocks coming out all the through both sides of the mountain. And yeah, I turned around really calmly. I turned around to the guys. I'm like, I can't do it. And then I ended up doing it. The guys were like, "No, man, you've done great. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine." But for that split second, it felt like an eternity. I was looking at this one little maneuver, and I'm like, I can't fucking do this.
Yep.
So I totally know the feeling to be paralyzed by fear.
But the thing is, you went and did it.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
It was cool. I did it. But what I did was I pushed off a rock a foot and a half and grabbed another rock with my left hand. These guys are going the Khumbu, the Khumbu ice fault. So what I meant is I can see looking at such a
of course,
such a site like that, crevasses and rope ladders, and it's just
Once you get through the Khumbu, though, it's not too bad. I can't take this.
you just got to climb
Tell
up
us
to the
about the
top.
time you climbed.
Is that a statement?
Well, let me tell you. My research says it's not
But yeah, it's funny what the mind will do.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So we want to, before we finish up, we've got I think I've got a few more questions to ask Mac does as well. We want to go into your next adventure, which will be K2. So I'm right to say you're in training for K2?
That's correct.
So K2, the research that I've done, I know a little bit about it. It's obviously very, very high up near the Everest range. I think it's 8,600 or so in Pakistan.
Second highest in
The world.
The world. It is world, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
But it's not it's not in the 7 summits, or it's not in one of the 7 summits, correct?
No, it's not.
Because it's in Asia.
Because it's the second in Asia
Yes.
behind Everest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So, but this is known as the world's most dangerous climb, basically.
It's the pinnacle of mountaineering.
Yes. So, what
Wow.
are you thinking, man?
Yeah.
As I was telling before, I think one of the disillusions of Everest was it was too commercial. There was all these things about the politics of climbing and the ropes and you this and you the other and I'm better than you and you're better than me and all this stuff that it was a little bit of this disillusion for me. Yes, it was a massive achievement and it was a great thing, but that was that disillusion. So coming back from Everest, as adventure people that we are, we're always looking for something else. Always, you can't just sit back and say, well, that's it. What else? I'm gonna just live on the memoirs of Everest. So I was
Especially at this age.
I know.
You've got many good climbing years ahead of you.
So
And as a climber, if you're talking to other climbers, you'd choose K2 over Everest. You'd be like, I climbed that. You'd instantly have more respect than I've done Everest.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Wow. And there's not many people know that. Hey,
No.
it's really interesting. I didn't even know that. I thought Everest was the pinnacle of climbing, but clearly this one is. Is it way more dangerous than Everest? Like how much more are we talking?
The statistics are on Everest is from every 10 that make it to the summit, 1 will die.
Oh wow,
something
that
around
is
that.
insane.
On K2 is 50%.
What?
So it's like
Oh.
it's like it's something,
luck,
it's something
man.
about. It's like
I don't think I
you're
can
starting
lower
in the
my
summit with
eyebrows.
somebody, and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be either you or me,"
Oh my god.
It has improved. It has improved with time, but still, it's a very dangerous mountain. First of all, because it doesn't have all the infrastructure. It's Pakistan. You're not when you trek on Everest, you have all the tea houses going up and the yaks and all the commerce going through and back and forth. There's no infrastructure. As soon as you start the trail to the base camp, which is a little bit longer than Everest, takes about 10 days.
Right.
Just to get to base camp. There's no infrastructure. There's nothing. So basically, you have an army of people, and there's no yaks. So it's people porters carrying everything for you. So for an expedition of maybe 10 people, you have about 500 people.
Really?
Wow.
Just going on the track with all the supplies that you're going to need for the time that you're going to be there. So
Very expensive.
I was just going to say, what's the cost difference between
it's
that?
not.
and
It's
Everest?
actually, for a non-commercial expedition, it's roughly the same price as Everest.
Right.
It's not-
And what is the cost of Everest these days?
commercially? I don't know.
It used to be around $60,000.
I've actually got
I
some
think
stats
it's
here.
come down. What do you
I've
got,
written cost of Everest. The lowest is 30K. up to 80k. Average is about 45, and it depends whether you're going from the Tibetan side or the Nepalese side.
Correct.
And there's about 10k in difference.
And how much did you pay when you climbed it, Mac?
www.adventuretravel.com.
So K2 is on the 60s, basically.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's that higher end.
On
the
the higher
average of
and
the-
the higher end, but because of the lack of infrastructure.
Yes.
So this K2 has more challenge because there's not that many teams on the mountain. You have to do a lot more work. You have to set up more ropes.
Isn't the weather more treacherous as well in K2?
Correct. You're very close to Siberia,
Yep.
so weather comes in and just wipes people from the mountain. And the thing with K2 is that the last bit, as you move from Camp 4 to the summit, basically you're facing a little bit of a Khumbu icefall in front of you. So bring a big chunk of the Khumbu icefall and putting on Camp 4
Really?
and then go from there.
So is the weather on both Everest and K2, when you just said, I think you said it comes and it just wipes people off the mountain, with the deaths on both mountains, how much of that is attributed to weather? Storms, getting stuck, just
A lot.
whiteouts?
I think a lot, because especially when people die close to the summit, coming from the summit, going to the summit, first of all, because people spend too much time on the mountain, they should be turning back. People don't do. Therefore, the weather comes in. Everest is a little bit more predictable when it comes to the weather, but it's still, weather rolls in the afternoon all the time. We know that it's going to get a little bit difficult to climb through the weather. So it does have a lot of things to play with Everest, but it's a little more controllable. In K2, it's just the weather comes out of nowhere because the Karakoram is not as extensive as the Himalaya. So the Himalayan will sort of contain a little bit of that weather as it comes through all the mountains, so you don't get the whole thing. Whereas in K2
It's
Road
exposed.
Peak,
Yeah.
it's exposed, exactly. So there's not much. If the weather wants to come in, it will come in and will give you no warning, which makes it very, very challenging. But like everything, Everest is climbable maybe 5 days out of the year. K2 the same. You just need to be lucky.
Did you say Everest is climbable only 5 days?
Out of the year
Summit.
during the spring, and then there's another season during the autumn as well, or the fall.
So people are in preparation for climbing throughout that whole time.
Exactly.
They're just waiting for that day to summit. That's what you mean, right?
That's what I mean. So on Everest, K2 and all this, basically the wind on the top of Everest normally is about the 150 to 200 k's an hour. That's a jet stream, as we call it, for the planes to go faster on the air. You're basically at almost the same altitude as a 77 Jumbo 777 will fly.
Yeah.
That's the jet stream that they're using. As the monsoon rolls into the region or exits the region, there's a few days where this wind drops to 40 k's an hour. That's the only time during the year that Everest is climbable.
Wow.
And that's the same with K2. Now, like with any other weather report in the world, especially in Melbourne, you cannot predict what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and when you're leaving from base camp, you're still 5 days away from the summit. There's no weather report in the world that is going to tell you what's going to happen in 5 years. 5 days. But you can have sort of a little bit of an idea based on trends, based on different weather reports. We get weather reports from Switzerland, from Nepal, from Australia, from London, from everywhere. You get all of that together and say, I think it will be this day. And when we climb Everest, we started in a team of 12. Only 4 of us set up for the summit, and only 2 of us made it.
Really?
Why is that?
One of my fellow climbers that we were sharing the tent going up, he got sick. I got sick on Camp 1 going up.
Right.
I started developing a little bit of a tummy upset, a virus that I caught, but I managed to recover when I was in Camp 4, a little bit too late. He started getting in the Camp 3. He was then going to recover. It was too late for him, so he had to turn back. And another guy...
Did you say... I was looking at my notes for a second. Yeah. Was he having HAPE?
No. He was just a virus.
Just a virus, just sick.
Just sick. Just a bacteria developing.
That's unfortunate.
That's really unlucky, isn't it?
That was very unfortunate because I really developed a good team sort of a spirit with this guy, and he was working very well. So anyway, so we set up for the summit thinking that the day that the window it was going to open, it was the 18th. So we're going to be ready on the 17th in Camp 4 to push that night. So the 18th, we're going to be summiting. We got there on the 17th. It was horrible weather. We were supposed to leave at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. came. Wind wasn't cooperating. We spent an extra night. We said, all right, we'll try next day. If by 3 p.m. next day the wind hasn't cooled down, we'll have to go down to Camp 2. And then hopefully, because you spend one day coming down, you need to regroup there, and then you're still 2 days away from the summit. So if the window was going to open on our way down, we will be sort of towards the end of that window. The window sometimes only opens for 3 days. There's years that it doesn't open.
So
you're there and it doesn't open.
That's unlucky, isn't it?
Yeah.
God. Does that happen a lot? Sorry, Macca. Does that happen a lot where people get there and they'll prepare everything and then there's just no window at all and they have to...
it has happened.
How many days would you allow to sit and wait?
Well, you're not supposed to wait in Camp 4. So that was a decision.
Because it's dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
Yep.
You're doing a lot of damage to your body.
Yep.
You're losing a lot of... basically, it's like you were running non-stop.
Yep.
Your heart is just like boom, 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 boom. So you're running.
Well, I lost 6 kilos just in that trip, and we were only at nowhere near as the altitude that you guys were.
Yeah, exactly. And because personally, I feel like my stomach wasn't working, and because your body is very smart, your body only wants to keep alive your brain and your heart, so the rest of your body starts switching off. So your stomach doesn't work. You don't have appetite. You don't pee. You don't poo. Basically, you are dying, and your body's making the best to keep you alive. So you don't feel like eating. Basically, you're running for 24 hours without eating, and the next day, you off for the summit. It's
so you give yourself 2 days, and then if it's not there, you'd go back, and then
try again.
And if it's on that, what happens? Ooh, you're stuck in a rock and a hard place, because what happens if you're on the way down because you spent 2 days there, and then
you're still 2 days down and 2 days up,
and then it's open. You're tough pickies.
Yeah, and then that's a lot of people don't make it because of the fact that they never find that window.
Wow.
And this is where the mental part plays one more time on Everest, whereas you may be sitting tight in base camp, and expeditions are leaving, and you're like, maybe they're gonna get a ride, maybe they're gonna get the window, but I'm sitting here tight.
Yeah.
Or you are one of the first, like we did, one of the first ones leaving, and you're like, maybe the guys
they're all sitting back. Maybe they're
gonna get it right, and because we're gonna expose ourselves to the elements, and we're just gonna spend more time in the altitude. Whereas these guys coming behind us, they're gonna hit it off, and you don't know. And again, politics and a lot of things going on the way, and all these mental things going on with you, and you just need to control yourself. You just need to know that what you're doing is the best based on whatever information you have and whatever trust you have in the people that are around you, and just go with it.
And that's why your experience, came up on top over a guided expedition, isn't it? Yeah.
It sounds like there definitely would be a lot of frustrations, and you mentioned the word politics, but just little things here and there that can eat away, and a lot of the stuff is just out of your control. Like you can't decide to go with Group A or Group B, and little thing you just feel very, very at will to the dangers of the mountain. I wanted to touch on some of the nutritional things that you did to prepare for the mountain. We spoke a little bit about your physical training and all that sort of stuff. Is it right that in terms of diet, you would want to put on a little bit of fat and that sort of thing to use it as an energy source when you start to go up? Is that something you really had to think about?
Yep.
And yeah.
So your normal training on a day-to-day basis is very, very hard. But the last month before you leave, you stop all that training. You sort of reach that point where you feel like you have the level of fitness that you want, and then it's all about eating and putting that extra weight. Yeah, you start lifting a little bit more just to put those extra muscle mass that you want, but it's a lot of fat, a lot of eating, ice cream for lunch, for dinner, for everything.
Yeah. How much weight did you put on?
I tried to put about 10, but I only managed to put about 7
kilograms.
Yep. Yeah, before I left.
In a month?
Yeah.
And how much did
that's
you...
That's a lot of weight in 1 month.
Yeah. Well, a lot of ice cream.
Best month of my life.
It is indeed.
Yeah. I was going to say, that'd be amazing.
It
Calm
is
before
awesome.
the storm, hey?
It's like awesome. You just do whatever you always wanted to do.
Yeah. And how much weight did you lose coming off the whole trip?
21.
Ooh. So what were you weighing in at when you started off with the 7 kilos, with the extra 7 kilos?
I was about 80.
80 kilos. So
I
you
know-
got down to
I-
59.
I'm only
Six-
72. So, yeah. Good math. Yeah.
That is crazy.
But remember, most of the weight is because a lot of cells in your body have died and they have released water. So you have lost a lot of water.
Water weight,
It takes a lot of. It took me about 6 months to get back to my weight, but also to feel
Alive again.
alive
Feel
again.
energetic and
Yeah, energetic.
built
I
back
was
up.
very lethargic, and to feel like everything in your body starts to work the same way that it was before, except for your brain, but everything else is working well.
We're clearly not meant to go up the mountain, are we?
Well,
amazing.
it is. We're not designed to do that stuff. It's like when Sherpas don't understand why we climb, and when they ask Mallory, why do we climb, and Mallory is just because he's there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
That's a
it's
great
something you
quote.
can do. Oh, that is a great quote. Yeah. So when everyone climbs the summit, is it immediately K2? Is that what most people start to think next?
No, I think most of the people that climb Everest, they do it for a recognition. You know, they want to do it because
It's true.
they.
Because everybody knows of Everest.
Yeah. Hey, I climb
It's
Mount
more.
Everest.
It's more to anyone that's not a mountaineer. It's way more exciting to tell somebody. Like if I was to go climb Everest and then go down the pub and tell people, "Hey, I climbed Everest," people would be stoked. They'd be buying me beers,
Yeah.
jumping up and down. If I said K2, half the people wouldn't even know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So a lot of people feel themselves that once they don't get Everest.
Conquer the world.
they
What
conquer the
about What about? Have you seen the Jimmy Chin, Renan Ozturk Miru film? The film
No.
Miru. Miru is a peak in Pakistan that's that had been previously. This is an absolutely unbelievable documentary, to be honest. It's Jimmy Chin's. Do you know Jimmy Chin?
No,
He's
I
a
don't.
National Geographic photographer,
Okay.
but he's also a professional downhill skier and mountaineer, a mountain climber. And Renan Ozturk is a mountain climber, and then there's a third member of the party, Jimmy Chin's mountain climbing idol. I can't remember. Renan Ozturk was a rock climber, actually. Anyway, it's the three of these guys, and they go out and they try and climb a previously unclimbed peak called Miru in Pakistan. And it's a great documentary. What about climbs like that? This isn't a height issue. This is a technicality issue. That's called, the Miru peak is called the Shark's Fin. So it looks like a shark's fin, and it's like they're sleeping on the wall and stuff. It's proper rock climbing, mountain climbing. What about stuff like that? So technicality rather than, K2 is still technical, very highly technical, but what about ones like that aren't that high, but they're just such a intense climb?
I think that's great achievement in mountaineering, but you need to dedicate your life to do that.
Yeah.
You basically put your heart and soul into do something like that. Not unfortunately, I've made all the decisions in my life, which is travel the world and open my own company, all those things. That has sort of changed that, but definitely I think those guys are great, on what they do, but they dedicate themselves to the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a different level. That's a different
insane
level on its own.
what they had, the study of the route that they had to go and the background that they had to do on it. They had 2 or 3 failed attempts at it. It was a fantastic film for anyone who wants to watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think do you want to try that new segment, Tommy, that you've got?
Yeah, look, it's a.
Should we
little
talk
bit
about the
less
book of
serious.
creep? So we've gotten rid of the book of creep for our listeners. Lasted a whole 5 episodes, and I liked it. We all liked it, but it sucked.
It sucked, and it was bizarre and weird.
The tape weren't
Basically,
good.
for you, Gerardo, we had a segment called the Book of Creep, and it was just basically a really short, disgusting, creepy story.
Hang on. It wasn't short.
It
mate.
wasn't necessarily short, yeah. It was an awful segment, and it actually ruined lives.
Tom just read for 2 days.
No,
I read for
alright.
about 14 days. You could have climbed Everest in the space of time that you had there. But look,
this?
now this is something called Did You Know? This is actually a little bit of a game for you guys. So I'm going to say a fact, and I'm going to give you an A, B, C, and you guys have
B.
to chess. That is already wrong. Get out. Fuck. Yeah. Go to the Banyos. And you have to basically guess which one is correct. Okay, so for example,
We get it.
okay, good. Yeah. just want to be honest here. Yeah. All right. So, where did the word fuck come from? That is today's question. B, feelings under constant...
What was A?
Oh. Did I actually do that? Oh.
We know it's not A.
17. So A is feelings under constant corking. That is the abbreviated form or the acronym that apparently may or may not have could be. I'm not sure. C is fucking...
Hang on, what's B?
Why am I keep doing this? What is going on?
A, B, C.
B. That's how it goes. That's right. B. Fucking Negru. Another place or name from Bristol in 1373. This was shown in 2007 quite persuasively to be one of the earliest instances. Okay. And C. Another acronym. Fornication under consent of the king. Which one is it? Is it fucking Negru?
C.
Feelings under... I definitely gave it away, didn't I?
C.
And it is C.
What was B?
I honestly made it up. Fucking Negru.
What's that supposed to be?
I don't know.
A place or?
Oh, it's a bloke. 1373. So that's take that one home, guys. Fornication under consent of the king is where the F word came from.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's
so
cool.
basically, the history behind it. Let me just quickly say it. Sex was outlawed, and people had to put up on their doors that they're making love or fornication or what's another way we can call it? Copulation was consensual. So FUCK came as fornication under consent of the king, and they weren't thrown in jail. How good's that?
Good job,
Really?
Tony.
Very nice.
Thank you.
That was a good little segment.
Yeah, I like
See you
that.
later, Booker Creep.
Yeah.
Later.
Not just a pretty face. Face for radio.
Alrighty, so we'll probably we'll quickly go over your next plan. So I don't know whether this is directly after K2, whether it's in planning, or you mentioned trip to Antarctica. You were going to elaborate.
Yeah, I always have this idea of doing the Antarctica crossing, which means doing it unsupported.
Yep.
So going from one side of Antarctica to the other side of Antarctica. I know a couple of Australians have done half of it, basically gone in and then came back, but the crossing of it all hasn't happened. It's not that I want to do a first. I just Antarctica is something that has always appealed to me. So
How far is that crossing?
it's about 2,000 kilometers.
Now, when you say unsupported, how do you mean? Do you mean by yourself? Surely not. You honestly do mean by yourself?
You by yourself with a slide, and then on the slide you have all your food, and
Wow.
then you just pull it.
And how long will that take?
Could take
a couple of days.
It really it takes months. It takes 3 to 6 months.
So 6 months of just solitude, just left, right, just walking for days.
Yeah.
Now, what goes through your mind that you would want to possibly do something like this? do you have any mates?
You want to be my mate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You might bring me a couple
He
of
speaks good Spanish.
Applications are open at
You'll
the
never go
moment.
without a bathroom around him.
Yeah, that's right. You make the tacos.
You need to come and try my tacos.
Yeah.
I
Do you have any mates?
it's a very difficult question. What goes through my mind was trying to do that. I like adventure. I like challenging myself. I like doing things that I know I'm capable of, and if I'm not, I know I can build myself to do them.
It's great.
And then prove it.
Mindset.
Prove to myself. I'm not here to prove anybody that I can do something. I'm just here to prove myself that I can do it, and that's always been in me. And I know after K2 there's gonna be something else that I want to do, and that's why it's in my mind at the moment.
It's great that you just said I know after K2, given the percentage of people that don't make it. That just shows the sort of person you are. It's really interesting.
Yeah, there was no if, obviously.
There was no if I. It's just I know
right.
after K2 I'm going to be able to do this. There you go. Wow.
That's
That's a goal. Thank you.
All right. Well, should we go to 9 from 9, mate?
Yeah.
Do you
let's
want
that.
to lead us?
So we mentioned it earlier before. We mentioned it earlier. Did I tell you I went to Everest? That we it's 9 minutes, 9 questions. All three of us ask 3 questions each.
Yep.
And Trying to elaborate too long. It's meant to be a pretty quick segment, but I'll start us off. My first question is, what is your morning ritual?
Stretching. I always stretch right after I wake up.
Yeah. For how long?
Yeah, for about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yep.
Just getting all the core going, getting energized, because it's gonna be something coming.
What time do you get up?
About 6:30,
Okay. Then you stretch till 7, then you just conquer the day.
and then just
Cool. Did you, sorry to get sidetracked, did you stretch when you were at Everest as well? You do the same routine?
Yeah, when it's after the sun comes out,
Yeah.
yes, you get out of your tent, get your mats outside, and then just do a little stretch. It's very,
cool.
very important.
Great.
That every day.
Second question is, do you meditate?
I do.
Tell us a bit about
I do. I really enjoy doing yoga whenever I can. I'm not very good at keeping. I'm not very good at keeping classes and going all that because I'm always looking for something else.
Yeah.
And I'm more like that. But I do spend a lot of time, especially when I'm in that morning session. I spend a lot of time meditating about the day ahead and what I need to do to get through the day, but also most importantly, what I've done wrong the day before, so I can improve in that day.
Yep, great.
Would have been amazing meditating on the top of the. Did you meditate at the top of the mountain?
I was.
He had no oxygen.
I was.
Yeah,
So, I was
you were
over.
dead.
I was. I was just looking around and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. The world was round. All the summits in the world. I was like, that's Makalu. That's Lhotse.
There's my house.
Yeah, that's my house. That's Mexico over there.
Mom.
Actually, if you dig, if you dig a hole from Everest down to the earth, you'll end up in Mexico.
Really?
Oh.
I've heard that.
Do you just take the scenic route?
You've heard that, heard that, have you, mate?
When I was on Everest.
Oh, yes, I've heard that one before, actually.
No, legit I have. I think
Shut up.
And third question is, describe the best date you've been on, or describe the best date idea that you would have.
Good one.
Date, as in with going out with a girl.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or significant other.
I think the best one have been definitely sharing the passion for the mountains, and there's been a couple of girls that actually have taken, without having any experience, coming with me and pushing themselves to like first or second camps and doing great things like that.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them, it's daunting, but seeing the reward on their faces when they get to that first camp and they're like, shit, I did it.
Yep.
That's
It
awesome.
opens up a good bond as well.
It
doesn't it?
just opens a whole new world.
And you
Go, wow, wow.
Do you just go in for the kiss straight after that? Well, this is really good. Arm around the shoulder.
We're at second base, so we may as well go for the ball. Surely you've used that line.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Well
That's
done.
excellent. Okay.
Right.
My question is.
I normally go
Sorry,
second.
mate.
It's gonna get hard. It gets harder,
My
isn't
question
it?
is wondering why you're not going now, Bill. You go, mate. You go.
Okay. So I normally go next. So that's fine. You could have gone, but anyway. So my questions are travel related.
Yep.
For anyone that doesn't know, and we could spend hours and hours on your travel history. You've been to 87 countries.
Yep.
And you're. Do you mind telling how old you are?
I'm 37.
37. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
That's
one
a lot.
country a year.
That's 5 people's.
Good math.
That's insane. That's so amazing. So this is going to be great to hear from you what you have to say in regards to these questions. So my first question is, that's going to be an impossible question to answer. You can give a few if you like. Your favourite destination, favourite place. Let's not use mountains as something to use as a crutch for this one, because I think that's what you would go to. I have a feeling. So let's say your favourite destination. It can be country, it can be a region, it can be a little small town. What have you got?
Definitely France.
Yep.
Paris.
Français?
Where?
Ah, d'accord.
I don't.
Je parle pas français.
Parlez-vous français? I really enjoy the culture and really enjoy the language. And enjoy the food. I've been 27 times to Paris. Just because because on my previous job I used to travel a lot, And all the time, when weekends, because I was spending a lot of time in Europe, so all my weekends were, where do you want to go, basically, open ticket, where do you want to go? And all the time I was going to France.
Did you get to the catacombs?
No, what's that?
Well,
I win.
so the catacombs is in Paris, and I believe it's maybe 20 meters underground. And it was a mining. I think it was like a limestone mine, possibly. I believe. And what happened was when the plague went through Europe and through Paris, they started stuffing bodies down there and using it as an extra place.
It's more than 20 meters down. I went down there. I'm sure it's more than.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is. I mean,
it's a fair way underground.
Yeah, it's very deep underground. And so they would use it as a burial ground. And then it got to a point where the leaders of Paris said, we can't do this. This is just insanity. So they took all the bodies out, and then what they did was, I don't know whether a little bit of time had passed. I think a little bit of time had passed, and what they did is they went down and made artistic work of the tunnels down there. So you walk through the catacombs in Paris, and on your right-hand side, there's a wall of femurs.
Yeah, and then on the other side there's skulls.
Yeah, normally it'd be like, yes, but something like that, but it would be like a wall made out of femurs, and then there'd be skulls across the top, and all this artistic work with human remains. It's one of the coolest. It was the coolest thing I did in Europe in 3 months. It was really, because Europe, I didn't feel like I was out of my comfort zone at any point in Europe. When I was down there, I was like, this is fucking weird. And spooky too.
Yeah.
One funny thing though, and this is really, really bad, but I saw a skull with a dick drawn on its forehead.
All right. Very nice.
Isn't that fucked up? And the next question. So, the next question is favourite place you haven't been? Favourite place. Place that you want to go most, your dream destination.
Has to be definitely Burma. And it's just because, maybe related to the mountains, but definitely it's the Himalayan kingdom, you know. I'm very attracted to Buddhism as a philosophy and how people live and the happiness around it. And Burma seems to be one of those places that I'm missing on my list.
Awesome. And finally, third question is, if you were on a desert island and you had 3 things to keep you sane, so you've got all your essentials. What are the 3 things that you want most?
Definitely need a ball. Something.
Everybody says a
Everyone
ball.
keeps saying ball. I thought you would have said mountain.
Yeah, mate. Just pack that in the suitcase.
You can do many things with the ball. You can get on the ball, climb it 100 times, you know, do that stuff. Definitely you need a ball to keep you sane.
Yo-yo, maybe.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
A yo-yo. Ice cream is not going to last too long. So
Never-ending supply of ice cream.
Never-ending supply of ice
now
cream.
we're talking.
So you've got a ball.
Can I ask for somebody else to be there with me?
Nah, it's got to be objects.
But you can just write a picture on the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Castaway style.
Like that
Wilson.
movie, Wilson.
Wilson.
Exactly. You know Wilson.
Okay, you got a Wilson.
You got a Wilson.
You got a Wilson. That's a good one.
What do you take to? So when you're climbing all these mountains in your kit bag, have you got anything like you got books or you got any personal items that you take?
I always have books. I have at least one book, and I have a card game or something. But I usually play with somebody else. If I'm by myself, I don't play it.
Did you say you have one book?
One
book each time, or you have a specific book that?
Oh, when I get to base camp, I have a lot, and then when I go up, I just take one, and then.
Yeah.
I may have 10 in base camp, and then the exchange starts between climbers because 10 books you go through them very quickly. That's very cool. Yeah. I can't think of anything else.
A Wilson and what was the other one?
A Wilson.
A book.
God,
that's like the most boring island in the world.
2 balls.
2 balls.
He's got a ball and a ball that he's named Wilson. And a book.
And when I say a book, I'll get a dictionary because obviously you need something to keep you going, you know. And a dictionary
right.
of another language.
So you're saying
French dictionary.
How about that?
A French dictionary.
I thought you were saying like you get to the pivotal end of the story and then you don't understand the last word. Shit.
This is awesome.
I am Lord Vold. Shit.
And
no, that's 3.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, you can't go full for it.
He's getting greedy.
No, he's
very great.
Thesaurus.
Thesaurus. Yeah. How about a tape measure? My first question, my friend, is who was your biggest role model growing up?
Well, definitely my friend that climbed Everest before me. He's he was 10 years ahead of me, and he was definitely my role model.
You can shout him out, say his name if you like.
Carlos Guevara.
Carlo.
You know Carlos?
No, I don't.
but you will now.
Yeah, no, I'll do it now, yeah.
He's a great guy, a massive inspiration. He's now an ultra man, and he's doing ultramans around the world.
Wow.
And yeah, anything that I do, I always sort of check in with him and see if he brings any saying to me.
Cool.
What
do you do in your downtime?
I don't have a lot of downtime, but when I do, I enjoy cooking. Before I open the restaurant, and now that I have a little bit more time with me, I throw a lot of Mexican parties. I really enjoy doing that. When people ask me like, "Hey, what are you doing next weekend?" I'm like, "Well, now we have a Mexican party. Your place, that's fine. I'll go to the place and then throw big Mexican parties."
So you cook and
I'll cook. I'll bring the tequila. We'll have a massive night.
Pinata?
Yeah.
Pinata?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, that's awesome.
What are you doing tonight?
I already have a Mexican party.
Hey! We're coming.
But next time you want to have a Mexican party, just give me a ring.
Yeah, we certainly will. And my final question is a bit of a tough question, so you can take some time to think about it, but not too long. You've only got 49 seconds now.
Yeah.
If there were 3 people, dead or alive, you could invite to dinner or your Mexican party, who would they be and why?
I've been asked this question before. But I haven't retained the answers for this. Number one, I will. Yeah, this is a weird one, but I've always sort of wanted it. I wanted to invite Hitler just to see what the hell is going on in his mind.
Do you know what? This is really interesting. We spoke about this last podcast, and we were sort of taking the piss out of it. But I'm so happy you said that because it doesn't make me sound as much of a dickhead as I do now. I completely agree with you. I think it'd be amazing.
I think he was a very smart person to get all those people to really rally all these people to do what he was about to do. I just wanna understand from his personality what made him so strong.
Yep.
You know, in doing all that stuff.
You're talking about before all the bad stuff, how he made Germany great, or?
Yeah, I think during the time.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to know during the time what was happening, what was going on.
Do you know there's a theory that, because he was an amazing artist and an amazing painter, one of the theories of why he really obviously didn't like the Jews was because he tried to get accepted into this art school, this really, really beautiful, pivotal art school, and there were many Jewish people on the board, and they denied him access into the school.
Really?
Yeah. Obviously, I can't see that being the main influence as to why it all happened, but that's an interesting theory.
Yeah. Another person is Beethoven. Definitely. Beethoven. Sorry.
Yep.
Beethoven. Sorry.
No,
it's all right. It's just.
No, it's good. It's
Just
good.
Mac wanted to clear up.
Yeah,
it's good.
we all know what you meant.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna correct your Spanish next time.
No. I think you probably pronounced it right and really eloquently.
Yeah.
And I would have said it the way you said it, Mac.
Beethoven.
Beethoven. I think he was a very smart guy again. He went into this period of darkness where he was going deaf, and I would love to understand a little bit more about him and what was going on in his mind and that world.
Was he completely deaf when he wrote
the ninth
yes.
symphony? Yeah,
Apparently
he was getting there. I don't know. There's not that many records, anyways, to know how much deafness he had.
It's amazing to think he can write one of probably the most beautiful symphony ever,
and that everybody knows.
Yeah, that's right.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the other one is Mallory, because Mallory.
And that's pronounced Mallory.
You sure it's not beef up?
Because Mallory, he probably made it to the top of Everest. Maybe he was the first one to climb Everest. I would love to know if he did. I really, really would like to know if he did, because
George Mallory for the listeners.
Yep.
Yeah, because he disappeared into the clouds, and he maybe did, and maybe Hillary Step. It shouldn't be named Hillary Step.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting, isn't it? Excellent answers. Really
Thank
good.
you.
So, that's pretty much all we've done.
You want to plug anything?
That's what I was going to.
Sorry, mate.
I want to plug anything.
Fucked it up last time.
So So I did forget it last time. So yeah, we want to know if you want to give anything a plug, and then where people can find you if they want to find you anyway.
Well, definitely, if people want to find me, and this is where the plug goes in, at La Tortilleria. So La Tortilleria, for those in Melbourne, it's a very authentic Mexican restaurant that we opened 3 years ago with that idea of bringing authentic Mexican food to Melbournians. I think Melbournians didn't want to have the typical Tex-Mex Mexican food. I think they were ready for it. And it's amazing how Australians, especially Melbourne, have embraced authentic Mexican food. They recognize authentic flavors.
Yeah.
They want to have fresh. They want to have. They don't want to be stuck in. It has to be cheese, sour cream, refried beans. It's authentic. It's different, but doesn't matter. You know, they wanna give it a shot. So you can always find me around either the restaurant or farmers markets. Or
where's the restaurant located?
The restaurant is in Kensington.
And you've got a website and all the social media channels.
Yeah, latortilleria.com.au. La Tortilleria AU is what we use for all the blogs. But if you Google Mexican Melbourne Kensington, you'll find it.
You're on.
Beautiful.
I hear great things. Well, that's pretty much it, eh?
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
G-Lo,
that's awesome.
Thanks for your great chat, and that's a wrap. Hey guys, well that's it. That's the end of our awesome chat with G-Lo, Gerardo Lopez. We really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did, because we had a fascinating chat and we were riveted the whole time. He's a great guy and really interesting to hear what goes through the minds of these crazy mountaineers when they're risking their life to get on top of that peak. Anyway, if you like the show, subscribe and give us a rating and review on iTunes. So give us a rating and review. You just have to search us on iTunes, go to reviews, and then click write a review. Give us 5 stars if you liked us. If you didn't like us, then don't give us a review. But it's very important to us if you do. Bumps us up the ratings. Also, if you want our show notes, head to www.adventurefittravel.com/podcast. That means anything that was linked in the show, any people, any places, any resources, they'll be linked. You'll be able to check it out there. So head there, and also don't be afraid to head on over and join our mailing list. That way you'll be up to date with all of our shows. You'll be up to date with all of Adventure Fit Travel's latest blogs, all of their latest trips that are getting released, our latest trips are getting released, and all that good stuff. So go out and do that for us, guys. But we also have to focus. We also have to thank our sponsors before we go. So this podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible, for your free 30-day trial of a sick audiobook like The Martian. That's what I recommend. 30 days free trial, free audiobook. What more could you want? Go to www.audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. We're also brought to you by Loxam Solutions. Head to www.loxamsolutions.com.au for all your business support needs. NDO Sups also sponsored the podcast. Thanks to the guys at NDO Sups. You want your supplements, guys? Head to ndosups.com and give them the code ADVF radio for 10% off. And lastly, we're brought to you by Adventure Fit Travel. Get online, check us out, come on a holiday, you'll love it. That's it from us. See you next week. See you next show. See you whenever. Bye.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.